performer here at Shine. I think I've seen him. He's amazing. We're thrilled to have him with us. Stephen Briggs brings his stories to life with superb sound effects and characters, and he performs overseas for the U.S. troops. He's been everywhere. Kuwait, I can't pronounce this, Bahrain, Cuba, Jordan, Egypt, Greenland, Colombia, Spain, Italy, another country I cannot, Djibouti, I think, and Honduras. That's amazing. Please welcome Stephen Briggs.
Thank you. All right. Need music? All right, so when I was 16 years old, my parents brought me to my closet and they opened up the door and they pointed to a stack of money and they said, "What is this?" And my mom looks at my dad and she goes, "You know what it is, Kenny. He's a drug dealer." And that's when I had to come out and tell my parents that I was making counterfeit money and using it at strip clubs. Yeah. And they asked me, why are you doing this? And I just told them, I was like, no girls will talk to me. Like, me and my buddy Jeremy, his dad owns a print shop. No girls will talk to us. And we just decided to try to find ways to be cool. So we try to make fake money. And it didn't go good the first time. People laughed at us. But then I started reading books and I told them I started taking $1 bills and putting them in bleach and rubbing the ink off of it. And then putting it back in the printer and then printing out a $10 bill. And just printing out all this money, and people thought it was real and they thought it was cool, and I was excited about that. And then we made fake IDs. And we were nervous, walking into the strip club, We walked up and the bouncer was there and my knees were shaking and I pull out this ID and he goes, "What? Just get inside." He didn't even look at the ID. It was like, I made this for nothing. So, put it back in my pocket. Me and Jeremy walk down, and we sit at the front, and we're there, and these girls are dancing, and it's the first time we've ever seen naked women before. It's like, this is our prom. And we're sitting there and we're having the best time. And then when the bouncer comes up and he touches us on the shoulder, and I was like, oh no, the bouncer knows that we paid our admission with fake money and we're in trouble. And he goes, "Guys, if you're going to sit in the front, for God's sakes, tip." And we're like, "Oh, of course, yes." And we start throwing out money. And the women just thought we were trust fund kids. I told my parents this, and they decided to send me to military school. I was in military school for 2 years where I couldn't do anything crazy. And I was just there, cornfields, military school, And after the 2 years, I ended up moving back with my parents, and I'm 18 now. And I still, I want to do something crazy in my life, and I'm thinking, what can I do? I'm 18 years old. What's the craziest thing I can do? And I'm like, go to Tijuana, Mexico. Tijuana, Mexico, you can be 18 and drink. So I ended up going to Tijuana, Mexico, and I went by myself because my friend Jeremy had moved far away, so I had no friends in San Diego. So I went down there by myself, and I'd go down there and I'd get drunk. And I ended up meeting this guy named Justin down there, who lived down there. And Justin was the coolest guy I'd ever met. We became instantaneously best friends. I'd go down there every week, and we'd just randomly bump into each other, and we'd go out and we'd drink, and we'd have a great time. And this was the highlight of my week. I'd go down there, and I'd bump into Justin, and we'd have an amazing time. And I remember one week I was down there, and I ran out of money, which is really weird because, like, $1 American is like 1,000 pesos. And I go, "Justin, I gotta go back. I ran out of money." He goes, "Hey man, why don't you just go to an ATM?" And I said, "Brilliant idea." So we go to an ATM and I put my card in and I pull it out and it's all in Spanish and I was like, I don't know what any of this says. And he goes, let's just hit this button. And all these pesos just come out. And I grab the pesos. I'm so excited. I turn around. And this guy runs up and he puts a gun to my head. And he goes, give me the money. Give me the money. And I'm so drunk at this point that I have the money in my left hand, but I go, I don't have any money. And I remember he opens the revolver and puts a bullet inside and he spins it and he puts it back at me and he goes, give me the money. And he goes, I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, and I grab some of the money and I throw it in there and I go, 3, run! And I start running down the street. I run as far as I can. I was on the cross-country team at one point in my life. So I had really good endurance. So I ran for a very long time until my lungs were burning. And I stopped, and I remember I turned around, and I didn't see Justin behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I hope he like turned around a different corner, but I don't know what happens if that guy got him. I don't know. But I was too scared to go back and go check on him. So I just went to the border, and I crossed back across the border. And I vowed to myself never to go back to Tijuana, Mexico. And then a year later, my younger brother turned 18. And I said, what do you want to do for your birthday? And he said, I want to go to Tijuana, Mexico. And I was like, let's go. So we end up going across to Tijuana, Mexico. And we're there. And I go, what do you want to do? What's the first thing you want to do? We're here. And he goes, I want to go to a strip club. And I was like, we could have done that in the States. You're a teen. And he goes, I want to go. I'm like, okay, fine. So we take a taxi, and we go to the strip club, and we go inside, and I go to the server, and I go, and I bring out some money, and I give it to him. I go, hey, man, 2 cervezas, and any girls you want, send them back to us, dealer's choice. And so we go back into a room. He goes into a room. I go into a room. And about like 5 minutes later, this girl comes in, and she starts dancing very melodically. She's coming towards me, and she's very sexy, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. And she's walking towards me, and she stops, and she looks at me, and she goes, Steven? And I go, how do you know my name? And she goes, it's me, Justin. And I'm like, what is going on? And she goes, you know, after that person pulled a gun on us, I thought my life was getting too crazy, so I thought it'd slow down. And I was like, this is slowing down? And she's like, I just thought I'd go after what I really wanted in life. And I was like, Justin. And she goes, it's Justine now. And I'm like, and I stood up, and I remember I was like, I'm so sorry that I left you and I was a coward and I didn't come back, and I haven't come back in a year, and I didn't even come to check on you. And she's like, it's okay. And I remember I gave her a hug, and I told her I loved her, and I was like, I should probably go, you're working right now. And I go to walk out, and she puts her hand up, and she goes, wait, you can't just leave. And I'm thinking, oh, wait, why not? Like, and I'm thinking maybe Justine's mad at me because I left her, or I'd just been a terrible friend. And I was like, why can't I leave? And she goes, you still need to pay for this lap dance. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. And I pulled out my wallet and I gave her $30, and it was real money. I gave her the $30, and I said, I love you. I gave her a hug, and I gave her a kiss on the cheek. And I walked out, and I grabbed my brother, and we left. And after that, we went back across the border. And I've never been back to Tijuana, Mexico since. But if anybody's having a birthday, thank you very much.